waited all winter for this.
It's the biggest race we have all year long.
The icons of this sport have all starred on its biggest stage.
It's the great American race. Trust me.
I won the Daytona 500. I won the Daytona 500.
Pull them belts tight one last time, boys. Light the fire.
Big push coming now for Harvick. Oh, and around goes a couple cars. Priest upside down. He's barrel rolling through the grass.
You got plenty of money. Don't need that to keep racing. Is it worth the risk to keep on going?
Sure, to win.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D. White, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Erik Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a Tyler Reddick weekend. He was the big winner down in Talladega, but after watching that race, I don't know if any of us are winners for that one. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Podcast available on all podcast platforms every Monday night: Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. And on YouTube as well, you can watch and see our pretty faces. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Fellas, how was your weekend? You guys look rough. You look real rough, especially you, Erik. Man, Matt's sick.
Yeah.
Everyone's.
It was a rough weekend, and in hindsight though, Whitey, I think it might have worked out to your benefit because my problems arose from drinking one too many of the 6% Monster Energy Beast Tyler Reddick drinks
Unleash
that came
the
out.
beast. Erik was unleashing the beast in the valley, and gave what Tyler Reddick need that little push in Dega. How were they? How did they taste, though? That's what I want to know, because I'm too afraid to try one.
No, it's just the Monster, like whatever the Monster tastes like. So they have like that white can one, they have the green can one, they have like the blue. It's literally just Monster, whatever the flavor is, but just with booze infused into it. And
do you get that booze after flavor?
No, they were actually pretty good. Like the one was super, super sugary, like you said, Whitey. But for the most part, like there was a peach one. It was good. Like I would definitely get them again. Put it that way.
All right.
Were you up all night afterwards?
Yeah. The sugar got to me. That's the thing. There is a trade-off when you drink those type of drinks. You know what I mean? They're easy to go down. You can put them down. They get you a little banged up, but then the next day, that couch is your best friend for about the next 8 hours after that.
All day
yeah,
long.
That's the headache today. Yep.
Yeah. That's all the sugar. I don't think there's caffeine in those things. Yeah. That's, dude, there's two types of hangovers, right? There's the headache one, and then there's the stomach ache where you can't eat anything.
I get the stomach ache one, man.
I've been getting the stomach ache one more than anything for years now. I wish I would get the headache ones a couple more times a year.
I'll get the headache one. I can usually kill the headache off in the first 2 or 3 hours of my day.
Yeah.
But the nausea catches up to me later on in the day, and that's what gets me in. I had a rough weekend too, but just opposite reasons. So I had a little tickle in my throat on Thursday, Friday, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna nip this one in the bud before it gets me, right? So I'm popping Zicams. I'm taking medicine before I have to. As I'm talking about this, my throat's dry. So I wake up Saturday and I'm just drooling out of my nose, and it's like I feel like I'm all congested and everything. My old man comes over, to watch the Notre Dame spring game, which is, for the uninitiated, just a glorified practice in the spring that all the programs do, and they televise it. It's literally just to give you a little glimpse of what the team might look like heading into next season. So glorified practice, came over, had some beers with him, and by the time the nighttime rolled around, it was getting worse and worse and worse. So I do what I always do when I get sick is I took the NyQuil, and that shit does not touch me. The only thing it does is it makes me feel so groggy the next day. I was so tired yesterday, still sick, worse than I was on Saturday. So it didn't fix me. Today I'm worse than I was yesterday. And it's just I don't know if it's allergies or a cold, but dude, boys,
I know exactly what it was.
Ass. I'm a little bitch when it comes to getting a cold or allergies. My nose is dry. My throat hurts.
I know what it is, Matt. There was no Friday night trucking.
No truck race.
And it just threw your whole system. Your body didn't know how to.
It went into shock. It was like, where's the beers?
I'll get a couple IPAs in me. I'll get a couple Miller Lights in me. It'll build up my immunity for the weekend. My body didn't have that wall to stop the bad guys from penetrating. So I'm dealing with it today. It is what it is. But thank God we had a good race yesterday to cure my spring blues.
Yeah, I got bad news for you, man, too. That illness is going to last another week because we don't have a truck race this Friday either. There's no trucks in Dover. So,
what is life without the Craftsman Truck Series?
Right? I feel you. I'm sniffly
You're living
too
it,
today.
man. You're living it.
If I ever hit the Powerball, I am touring with the Craftsman Truck Series. Not the Cup Series. I'm going to leave right after the Truck Series race is over. The Craftsman Truck Series race is over, and I'm just going to tour with them, baby. That's life right there.
Just Friday nights only, man. Just Friday night lights. They're mostly they're mostly night races, right? A couple Saturday double headers you have to stick around for, but I think that's a good plan. It's like
never hear anybody ever complaining about the racing or the packages or anything like that in the Craftsman Truck Series.
Nah, that's true. No, it's just, man, they're a little too aggressive. They're wrecking each other. That's about it. Racing's always fun. You never
hear about them changing the truck. Like
it is what
the
it
height
is.
of the deck lid. It's just here it is. Race it, and just that's what you get. You never hear about changes. Nothing. Nothing ever.
I don't think I've ever heard of a rules package change for the trucks, and it's literally like, oh, manufacturer change, chop the nose off, put a new one on. That's it.
That's it. Other than there very well may have been package changes, but I can't recall them, and I don't want to recall them. The Craftsman Truck Series is the Craftsman Truck Series. Don't change it a bit.
Nah, I agree. Let's keep things the way they are. Too much change too quick is a bad thing. We'll get into it. My weekend pretty much the same. I got some sniffles real bad too. Definitely all allergies here in NEPA. But fellas, we
went from not having leaves to having leaves
in a week.
Now it's just like everything is just getting sucked up into our nostrils, and it sucks right now.
Yeah, cutting the grass, getting all that stuff stirred up in the.
A couple cuts into the season so far. I'm 2-0 on the season.
I tell you,
looking to go undefeated in the grass cutting season.
The computer must be listening because it just popped up where it's like, "Would you like weather updates?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." But fellas, let's jump into the NASCAR news. Not a whole lot of stuff to talk about this week, but the big controversy on Twitter the last couple days, scoring pylon gate. They've been removing them the last 2 weeks. They removed the scoring pylons at Texas and now at Talladega. Everyone's going, NASCAR, what the fuck are you doing? NASCAR saying, well, we got all these screens that you could watch the ticker go by. Fans aren't having it. Fans are mad. And then I saw a statement today that apparently the company that makes these scoring pylons, they don't have a lot of old parts for the older ones. And it seems they're
just bulbs.
What's that?
They're just light bulbs. Replace the light bulbs, stick it in there, and it's good, right?
I think it's like the controllers and whatnot.
You know what they need to do? They need to go back to that guy who made the household one. Remember that?
Yeah.
And have him. I guarantee you, he can make one.
You want to know what? That guy's been getting a lot of love on Twitter too this weekend. Also, if you don't know what we're talking about, head on over to Dale Jr. Definitely retweeted it, but I'll retweet it because I follow this guy too. This guy made a scoring pylon for his living room. It's almost as tall as the ceiling of his living room. Has all the live data. It uses the app. In fact, maybe I don't want to let you guys. Maybe one of our friends who's a programmer is working on something similar for me. And you remember that Nostra or that Nastra?
Whoa! You gotta whisper stuff like this.
Yeah. That NASCAR Damas website. I sent him some screenshots. He's been working on it the last couple weeks.
Dude, that NASCAR Damas website. I had it for 2 races, and it changed my life.
Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, it was like this website that had all the live scoring data, all the loop data for every driver, and
who's got the fastest laps, who's got the last 5 consecutive fastest, so you can see who the fastest car in the field is. It was amazing.
Yeah,
and then
We'll see. We'll see if my programmer friend can figure it out. He was watching a couple races last week, pulling data off of the NASCAR website. It's pretty straightforward.
I'm not gonna lie. That was such a help to the way I consume the race. That if that programmer buddy needs a couple of dollars to fund his little project, I will fund it. That's how much because I would pay to have that as like an application.
Yeah,
that's why all the teams have it, and that's why they're kind of complaining that the racing sucks because all the drivers could see what the other drivers are doing in real time instead of having to figure it out themselves on the racetrack.
Well,
everyone knows what everyone's doing at any given time, and it's kind of in a way, is that good for the sport or is it bad? I mean, it's good for us as fans. I get that, but like everyone's
need the throttle and brake trace though.
No.
God, I just want to see where the lap averages are. Like the guy with Nostradamus, he had it color coded, and it was just fantastic. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's really hard for me to explain. But it was a gridded system where it was up to the second live data throughout a race, where you can see like who has the last 5 best consecutive 5, 10, 15, 20 lap averages. So you knew who the cars were that were coming up the field.
Yeah, you could see like, Erik Jones in 13th is
the third fastest car on the track.
He's like making up 0.4 a second a lap, and you could see like how the other guys are slow around him. Like, this is getting good. I watched a couple races like that after you discovered the website, and it was fantastic as a fan because you could follow your driver and see like, this is where he's picking up speed. Now, what you're talking about, Eric, is the straight up SMT data where they can see when they brake, when they turn the wheel, how much of an angle they turn at, all that stuff. I agree. I think that is ruining the racing for the drivers and the fans.
I don't need that as a fan. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't think it should be public. I don't think it should be given out like Eric is saying. Like I don't think other teams should be able to see. Like I can't go like Robert Saleh, the head coach of the New York Jets, can't look at Andy Reid's playbook and be like, hey, I know what his playbook is. Like, you can't do that.
I agree. I think it's kind of bullshit that they could see because now it's not like, I'm trying to figure out what the other driver is doing. It's like, hey, here's what the other driver is doing, And then especially with these cars, like everyone keeps talking about how close they are, how close in times they are. Well, that doesn't help because now everyone's driving the same too. Because as soon as someone figures it out, 15 laps later, everyone's starting to do it.
Like Harvick when old Atlanta, when it was mile-and-a-half setup, he was so good because he had that lower line groove and no one knew how to race it because they didn't know what exactly he was doing. And if I guess maybe the SMT data was available. I don't know if it was or wasn't. That was like right on the brink.
I don't think at the level it is today, Matt, but like I see what you're saying. Like back then, that's how drivers dominated. They figured something out, and then you couldn't, if you didn't know what he was doing or how to do it or figure it out, that was his own hidden gem. And like he knew it was almost a guaranteed win because of what he learned and how he performed on that racetrack. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from. I think like maybe NASCAR should put some kind of limitation on what is shared and what is visible to these teams because, I do think not only like the cars are so cookie cutter, now the driving styles are almost becoming cookie cutter because in all reality, like Denny said, like Jimmy was saying, and a lot of drivers are saying, you could only drive this car one way at most of these racetracks. Yeah. When before you could drive that old car multiple different ways. And now they're kind of just stuck driving the car the one way that this car handles good. And everyone's doing that. And it just kind of, you could see the lull that it causes in some of these races when everyone is just as fast as the guy behind you and the guy 10 cars ahead of you. You're just as fast.
Yeah. And we kind of saw the same problem this week in Talladega. We'll get into it. But let's see, back to NASCAR news. NASCAR claims that they're close with a new charter deal with the teams. And then Denny Hamlin said nothing has changed since the last time, and he doesn't know what NASCAR is talking about. So,
dude, Denny, the owner, is like my favorite person in the entire world. We were passing something around this weekend that said Denny Hamlin is the owner we all thought Tony Stewart was going to be.
Yeah, he really is.
True, because he's outspoken. He doesn't give a shit who he rubs the wrong way, and he's going to tell you like it is. And and he's saying what really everyone else is saying,
what the fans are saying too.
Rather, yeah. he really has become a voice of the fan as an owner.
He is a voice of the people, and the fact that people still boo Denny Hamlin is just crazy to me. They're not listening to actions detrimental. That's the problem.
Right.
No, I think it doesn't matter. I think it's awesome that he is who he is and still getting booed at the same time. Because to me, there's still a separation of owner Denny and driver Denny.
Yeah,
so
that's
he's
true.
managing that better, I think, than anyone before too. So it's like
that's so funny.
And then let's see. Of course, if you watched the race yesterday, you saw Erik Jones with a massive hit. He ended up going back to the infield care center after his interview, which that reminds me, Charlie Warner brought it up last week in the comments, how Fox hasn't been interviewing guys after the infield care center. And finally this week they brought it back. I think we saw an interview from pretty much everybody. So I don't know what Fox was doing before, but it's back. He seemed to be okay in that post-race interview after the care center, but then he went back and then went to a Birmingham hospital. He was released late last night, and he's back in Charlotte now. What's up, Matt?
Not to trust me, the last thing I want to do is back Fox on anything, but I think I saw somewhere that the reason was that at some tracks it's really hard to hear. Because especially at like a Bristol, a Martinsville, a Richmond, it's super hard to hear when they're doing the interview. I don't know if that, I don't remember. I must have been on Twitter that I saw that. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I'm surmising why they might have gotten away from it. Talladega, I mean, you guys know from Pocono too and Daytona where it's bigger, you get a couple seconds of kind of leeway to not have to yell or you not have to lean in to hear what someone's saying.
That makes sense.
There was rumor too, like on Twitter that I saw, like kind of like how Joe Rogan kind of stopped interviewing fighters after they get knocked out type of thing, where I heard there was like, depending on the wreck and the situation, like maybe it's just better that you don't, you know what I mean? Type of thing in certain scenarios. So I did see that floating around too, which I could kind of see that, you know what I mean? Like this guy just got into a crash going 200 miles an hour.
Like,
and the first thing he's got to do is go in front of a camera and an interview, you know what I mean? So I think like a lot of that I saw floating around too, which, hey, I could kind of see both angles there.
I remember seeing I forget who wrecked last year. It was one of those wrecks where like the guy just got out of the car and was like, fuck it, and was walking through the pit area. And I saw it was like a behind the scenes video of I think one of the MRN guys or someone else like going to interview them, and whatchamacallit, Regan Smith for Fox stopped him and go, oh, you can't talk to him. You can't talk to him until after he comes out of the infield care center. Yeah. So there is at least some of that where it's like, you can't talk to him until they've seen a doctor. Like you can't slow that process down or whatever. But yeah, that makes sense too, because like half the time they interview these guys, it's like, I haven't seen a replay. I don't know what's going on. I got wrecked and now I'm here.
What's the point of it? Yeah.
I just like knowing that they're okay. Like seeing like, oh, okay. He's speaking straight, But
just touch on it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to show their face. But like, hey, we interviewed him afterward. Everything's fine, good. And it's good. Yeah, that's all. Just an update.
Like yesterday, because like immediately after the Erik Jones wreck, there was the reports coming out like, oh, he seems injured. He even came over his intercom and said, hey, like I'm hurting here. It was nice to see him like 10 minutes later, like, oh shit, there he is doing an interview. So he must be fine. But then I guess later on,
he sounded bad. He sounded like the wind was definitely knocked out of him for sure. That sounded bad.
It was the same. It was, and that wreck goes a long way of showing us really where the safety has come in the last 24 years. But that's the same hit, that senior took,
but we know how hard this car hits though too, and like this, your body does absorb a lot in this car, and man, it's like. I mean, I hope everything is good. Like I think he said, it feels like he just got stretched out, probably from the like getting jolted. It probably just like
stretched his lower back and shit.
Yeah.
He's like he didn't get like a herniated disc or something. He might have it too. It just we don't know yet. Yeah. I hope we see him in Dover. I hope he doesn't miss any races. But that's all I have for NASCAR news. Super light week again. Not a whole lot to talk about these days, news wise. So let's jump into the NASCAR weekend. We had a doubleheader, Xfinity and Cup. Jesse Love was the winner of the Xfinity race. You guys catch any of that on Saturday afternoon?
I saw a little bit of it. I caught the end of it as well there. Only thing that I really was pushing for was Hailie Deegan was in fourth, and she just got shuffled out. Like
right out.
No one dude, Reilly Herbst. I thought he's a Ford and a foot. Like
Ford and
just
a
hung
monster.
her out to dry.
Yeah.
Just hung her out to dry. Literally was right behind. Like, all you do is pick her up, and they all would have went. And he literally dove bomb to the inside to not help push her. It to me, it looked so obvious. I don't know if it was just because, like, I'm kind of just rooting for her to see some kind of action, but like, man, I don't know if you saw that, Whitey, at the end of that race, but I'm like, there was no reason for them to just leave her hung out like that. Not in my eyes, not at all. And it was kind of like, dude, like, come on.
Like, that's a Ford teammate. That's a monster teammate. You just leave him to hang out to dry. A lot of people did. Like, there was a lot of cars that could have pushed for momentum, and they didn't. And that was the big storyline. Everyone was talking about how, like, they just didn't try to make moves happen. Everyone just, like, tried to go, like, 3-4 wide, and that was it. So, I don't know. I don't know if there's some bad blood with Hailie Deegan in the garage, too. You know how fucking race guys are too. They like, I don't know.
But it was just so, like, obvious to me there.
Yeah.
Like you watch any other racing, any other move, like someone would have picked up that person and just went with them. Like, it was just like he tried. It was harder for him to avoid her
than it was to just
pick her up and push her.
and what did it get him in the end too? Where did he finish? You know, he didn't get the win.
I missed the race. So I'm sorry I can't chime in.
That's okay. Apparently we didn't really miss much except for, Reilly Herbst finished second, except for, like, lack of pushing at the end, and a lot of guys kind of just left a lot of momentum and moves on the table, you know?
We do have to give a shout out to them ARCA boys, though, apparently, and I didn't see any of the ARCA race either.
No, just as bad. No, you can't push those cars. No one could do anything. It was just a straight line.
Apparently it was an incident-free ARCA race at Talladega. Think about
there's a problem.
Insane that's a problem.
That's a problem.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
That's an absolute problem.
I know. I saw a lot of tweets from people like us going like, yeah, I've never driven a stock car in my life, but I'm pretty sure I could win a race at Talladega in an ARCA car versus these guys. So apparently it wasn't the best race either.
Dude, so I don't want to. We're getting into it. I'm a bitch coming up here about the Cup Series. I'm just gonna put that out from like multiple angles too.
That's okay.
Anyone who doesn't like bitch fest from me, like, I'm gonna be a little bitch about this. Just a heads up. Stop listening now if you don't like it, or if you want to hear a rant, continue listening because you're gonna fucking get one.
You're getting it. And then in the Cup Series race, my buddy Tyler Reddick led 5 times. Well, not my buddy. I never fucking met him. He led 5 times for 13 laps.
I can't laugh.
Got himself his first win of the season. Locked himself into the playoffs so far. 3 hours, 13 minutes, and 29 seconds was the time of the race. We saw 4 cautions for 21 laps, 72 lead changes among 23 different drivers. But I don't want to start bitching either, because I bitched a lot the last Talladega race.
All right, I'll we start with my race grade then.
Let's go. Yeah.
All right, I gave it a D. This race, because we know on this show we kind of scale races in multiple different ways, so we're not like stuck into this or that. You know, we take things into consideration.
There's nuance within our grades.
It's a Talladega grade. It's not just
so this
a
is
race
super
grade.
speedway grade. Like I'm looking at this like, okay, we're going into Talladega. We're going into a super speedway race. Like, I want something out of this. There's definitely a marker that I have pinned where it's like it has to get to this for me.
Yeah.
And it didn't get anywhere near that marker for me. It was a damn near snooze fest for, majority of the race until the end. And, you could say, oh, but what about these other races where there's strategy involved? Why can't this is not a strategy race in my eyes. It should not be a strategy race in my eyes. And it turned into that, where you are now no longer going full throttle. You are saving fuel, and you aren't going full out at Talladega and trying to pass a guy by being faster, by having a better run. No, you're just trying to go as slow as you can to save as much fuel to make it to the end, which
to then I jump a guy on pit road. You know?
Yeah, like it's a different way of looking at it, but not at a super speedway. I get that at a mile and a half. You have races that are like that, but you have the racing in between. At Talladega, when you're there, like, I want to see runs. I want to see guys trying and attempting. And you can't attempt with this car, because the minute you attempt to try it, you're just going to get blown out. And right to the back. You can't move forward with this car. There's no side drafting.
Yeah.
Once you pop out of line, you're done. That's why nobody makes moves. Yeah. Is it cool to see cars go 3 wide? Yeah. But these drivers could do that with their eyes closed. That doesn't show me anything. Riding, not passing, going 3 wide.
Yeah.
I want to see 3 wide. But now when they're showing them coming down the front stretch, right? When they're going 3 wide. Ooh, look at 3 wide, 3 wide. All they're doing is showing 3 wide trains. Back, I remember when they used to show them 3 wide, and you would get this.
Yep.
Cars, one at a time, bobbing from lane to lane to lane to lane. And it's crossing over each other, finding little gaps. You don't see that anymore at all at these super speedway races. And that's what I look for. That's kind of what was missing. And yeah, is it cool to see them go fast around that close and tight? Yes. But at a certain point, it almost felt like I was watching an F1 race, to be honest. It's like, okay, what's happening here? They're just going around. They're just nothing is happening. And man, I hate to give it a better grade just because of what happened at the end, because I don't like what happened at the end either. And it's just like, to me, it goes to show that some people do just like to see that at the end, mayhem and stuff like that. But I don't know. It was a frustrating race to watch for some reason, and it just, I was in a perfectly good state of mind watching it too. Like, I can't even put it on me. I did make it a little bit better when I started listening to MRN in my ear. That broadcast made it a little bit better for me, because they're a little bit more enthusiastic, and they're looking at shit in the back of the pack. They're looking at momentum runs starting in like the 10th row back,
so
coming up.
That excitement.
So they build that excitement to get a little bit more in your ear. But even with that, trying to save it, like, I found myself trying to save the race, and doing that, I shouldn't have to at a super speedway. I was actively trying to make it better, trying to keep myself in the race, and there was not one edge of my seat moment. So that's why I won't give it a full F, because it is still Talladega, and it still is awesome watching them go around there. Even if there is no action, I could still get into that. So that definitely doesn't get the full F. I couldn't give it much more than a D. If I gave other races, I know C's or C minuses, this had to be below that, but it wasn't a complete and utter disaster, but it wasn't too far off.
All right. You know what? I agree with everything you said. Like, I feel like you nailed it on that one. Matt, do you have,
I'm in the ballpark. I'm at a C minus. So like, the reason why, like, I took what I saw yesterday personally, because when I was a little kid, my dad was watching the races. What got me hooked was the super speedway racing, right? And then as I got older and really started understanding the sport for what it actually is, I started appreciating everything else until I, appreciate the sport as a whole. But super speedway racing is part of my soul, man. It's part of my heart. And seeing where it was just a few years ago to where it is now, it's heartbreaking for me, because like, I like 4 times a year, man. You got two Daytonas, 2 Talladegas. And for those 4 races, I know whatever is going to happen, whoever wins that race, I know I'm going to get an exciting start to finish race. And I didn't get that yesterday. Like Erik said, back in the day, you get, and I hate sounding like I'm 70 years old, but like back in the day, just a couple years ago,
5 years ago,
get a third line forming, and it's like, okay, if 2 more guys jump up into that third line, like, we're going to get a train all the way to the front.
They can make something happen.
Dude, like yesterday, Kyle Busch, like, I was yelling, like, we just need 1 or 2 more guys to get in that third line. Kyle Busch jumped up into that third line, and then it dissipated. Like, it just, like, fell apart, and, like, there was no threat of a run coming. They only got up to maybe the 7th or 8th row, and then it felt that third line fell apart. And it happened multiple times throughout that race yesterday, and it's like, what I saw yesterday was Now, a C minus, again, let me back up. A C minus, which is my grade, may as well be an F for a super speedway because of that sliding scale and because of the high regard that I hold super speedway racing in. It may as well be an F. I may as well just put an F on my grade because that's essentially what I'm saying, because I'm just super disappointed. And it's 500 miles too, right? Like they may as well lock a 0 off of it and just make it 50 miles. Make it the last 20 laps.
That's all that matters.
Pretty sure my math, 22 and a half miles. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So it should be the Geico 50 because the last 20 laps is really all that mattered. The last 20 laps were okay. And then always the last really the last 2 laps of any super speedway race is going to get exciting, not because of passing or shifting or anything. It's like, well, where's the mayhem going to break out? Because that's what's going to end this race. How is this race? Essentially, it's a question of how is this race going to end and who's going to be the one who survives it. Not to take anything away from Reddick, but he was the one who survived it, you know? But it could have been anyone. It could have been my neighbor, you know, that could have been driving Reddick's car that survived that yesterday. And that's the other point that I wanted to get to was, far too often do we get our balls busted by people who just don't understand the sport. Morons. I'll just call them morons because they're, or jackasses, imbeciles, whatever you want to label them as, because they just don't care to understand the sport and they make fun of us. Oh, they just turn left. They just turn left. That's not entertaining. They just turn left. They don't pass. A race like yesterday feeds into those idiots who say that that's all that NASCAR is. And that's another reason why I take it so personally, because you tune in, you hear Talladega, you know the Erik Church song, you hear people talk about how wild Talladega usually is. So you tune into it hoping to see something, and you see yesterday and it's like, well, NASCAR, not for me. I don't know what that was, but it wasn't really entertaining. And so it's like, you turn on a Talladega race or a Daytona race 2 or 3 seasons ago, and you're like, holy shit, like I got to start watching this sport because that is awesome. It's entertaining. It's thrilling. It's, edge of your seat. Dude, like every super speedway race leading up to before the car of this next gen car, you're on the edge of your seat the whole time. You cannot walk away to go get a beer. You cannot walk away to go do dishes or cook dinner because you have no idea.
You can't look away.
Happen. I knew what was going to happen next, unless somebody screwed up and wrecked. Which, by the way, the cars are way too easy to drive. There is no wrecking anymore. There is no big one until the end. You knew what you were getting. We needed 20 laps yesterday. I could have sat down on the couch for a half hour, watched 20 laps of racing, and I still would have had the exact same outcome as I had.
That's what made me so mad. By the end of that race, I had realized that I had wasted my entire day watching. Just to have been able to oh shit, tune in at the end, watch the end, and I would have been perfectly fine. Like it was just one of those races where when there's no substance throughout, it does feel like you wasted your time.
It's empty. It's a beer. It's
I wasted my day,
Well, I don't know what race you guys watched, but I saw Tyler Reddick put that 45 car in victory lane in an A+ Talladega race. No, I completely agree with everything you guys have been saying. And I've been saying it, if you've been listening the last couple of years, I've been saying it the whole time. As soon as the next gen car hit Daytona, I'm like, man, something's not right. Like something's not looking, it's not passing the eye test. You know what I mean? And to Erik's point, it's the side drafting. You can't make those moves where you slow down a little bit of a run in the middle lane and then you cut in front. What's that?
You can't manipulate other drivers.
No.
You had obviously Dale Earnhardt Jr., but you had Denny Hamlin, Keselowski. You had these guys that you knew were going to make their way up front. Michael McDowell even, and he still does, but you're not able to Michael McDowell's up front because he started up front. That's you know what I mean? And they just kind of stayed up there the whole time, even throughout the pit stops and all that. He was still able to it was a position race. You
stole the words right out of my mouth. Everyone goes, oh, Talladega's a crapshoot. Anyone can win. But as true educated fans, well, that's not necessarily true because there's a lot of skill. There's a lot of different ways that the guys read the runs, see oh, maybe the energy of the pack is a little bad. Let me back off. Denny Hamlin was famous for it where he'd be like, oh, things are getting a little dicey up here. Let me back off. And then 2 laps later, the big one happens, you could time different runs. You could make those moves. And we don't see it with the next gen car. And I thought it was this. I thought it was the shape of the car and not being able to side draft. But I was listening to Denny's podcast today, and he said it's because there's too much drag on the car. Now I'm not an engineer, so I don't know how you really fix that. I wish I'm really that's the thing too. We're only in the third season of this new next gen car, right? I wasn't around for the car tomorrow, the COT era. I'm assuming it took a lot of years to get good, you know? So like, I'm still trying to stay optimistic and not blame it. I have high hopes that NASCAR could fix these things. It just seems like it's not priority for them. You know, like we keep talking.
They can fix it today, right now. They can fix it, but they don't want to.
They keep talking about, you know,
they always go towards money.
And like they talk about the short tracks and the package at the short track and like, oh, we're working on it. And we talked about it last week, or 2 weeks ago, where it's like, oh, we'll do a tire test here, a tire test there, but nothing really changes of substance, you know, like little minor tweaks and whatnot. I just wish we could see, I don't know, some sort of evolution with this car. Cause like everyone knows there's kind of a problem with road courses, short tracks, and super speedways. And
3/4 of the tracks that we go to.
Right. And like, we're not doing much to change them. And like, I'm trying to keep the faith in NASCAR. I'm trying to stay optimistic, but I haven't liked a super speedway race in 2 or 3 years. This one, same deal. I was on the edge of a D or an F myself until McDowell started pushing the issue. And even the broadcast was like, oh, he's running full throttle. And they were like, well, actually, he's only running full throttle in these couple spots and he's keeping a good distance and everything. But I feel like that helped save the race for me, where I gave it a C-, because at least midway through the last stage, the Toyotas are like, all right, well, now it's time for our game plan. We're going to run hard and try to force the issue. And of course, we saw what happened with the accident, kind of screwed things up for them. But like, that was a gamble that was probably going to work out for it. I mean, it did work out because as soon as they re-racked the field and everyone
was the winning strategy, hands down. They were going to be up front and they were going to be in the control, no doubt about it. But it sucks that they even had to do that to begin with. Yeah, is it cool that they thought of that and that they changed the name of the game? But like, guess what? Now that's what you're going to see
next time. Yeah, we see it at road courses,
and then yeah, it's so, and we already know what we're going to get because like. Now with this car, oh, this is what it is. So this is what we have to do. Now everyone's going to start doing it. And then here you go. And then that's what everyone's going to do. And then we're going to see crashes coming on the pit road because everyone's going to try to go one lap earlier than someone else. And I don't know. This car literally is changing the way we race everywhere that we go. And I don't know that I'm okay with that. That is the problem that I have with this whole next gen car. Is it's not just, you could say it's this, it's that, but when you start looking at it as a whole, it's changing everywhere. It's changing the way you race everywhere we go. The short tracks, road courses suck. Mile and a half are good, but are they? You know what I mean? Like, we're saying they are because this is what we have, and like we're trying to be positive about it, and like. And then you throw in everything. It's like, I don't know. Like, it's changing everything about what NASCAR and what racing really is.
Yeah. I've got good news, boys. The next super speedway, Daytona, is a night race, a Saturday night race. So we can at least be nice and lubed up during it. So we don't have to.
Oh yeah.
We don't have to take it raw. We could just we can at least be lubricated enough to kind of think we're enjoying it.
I think that's why I enjoyed the last Daytona race, the cutoff race last season. I tell you what, like I thought I was going crazy last season and the season before, where I'm like, you remember the first time we went to New Atlanta? I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I really like it. I'm not sure. And then last year, Talladega in the playoffs, I flat out shit all over. I think I might have gave it an F. And then I felt bad where I'm like, well, maybe I don't know. Maybe I just need to change my expectations. But like they tout these number of lead changes, 72 lead changes. Well, it's just 2 trains going back and forth. And that's what I was saying last time we went to Talladega. So, I mean, it's a rough.
It's sponsored BJ McLeod go up to the front yesterday.
I love that. That was great, though.
I like BJ McLeod, and he seems to be in like the inner NASCAR circle. Seems to be a really good dude.
Yeah,
and he actually has always been a pretty decent super speedway racer. So not to take anything away from him, but like we saw an unsponsored vehicle, take the driver out of it, an unsponsored vehicle with not as many funds as everyone else has, go to the front and lead laps yesterday.
Yeah,
that shouldn't happen.
No, I mean,
well, like to my point, Whitey, like saying, "Oh, I changed my expectations." I'm tired of changing my expectations.
Oh no, I
That's
agree.
where I'm at now. Like we're as fans, like
Now
they
it's
should
like
be
I don't even
grateful.
recognize this. You know,
Right? I don't even recognize it anymore. Right? That's the point where I'm getting, and like we'll get to it later. I'll just say now, my Wreckers is this next gen car.
Yeah.
Because of that reason, I'm tired of giving it the benefit of the doubt. I'm tired of changing the way I look at this racing now. I'm tired of changing. It's like, no, I shouldn't have to do that. We're letting you know that we hate this shit, and you're doing nothing about it, and you're just letting it go until the point where we're get tired of bitching about it, and we just accept your garbage fucking product. And I'm that's where I'm like at this point, like I'm tired of this. Like I was not joking when I was mad when I said I'm done. Like with I like it's got me to the point where like I don't recognize the sport of NASCAR anymore. I don't recognize this super speedway. I don't recognize this car. The drivers can't drive it. The drivers are bitching about it. And like nothing is getting done. Like you said, it doesn't look like they're trying to do anything anytime soon.
No.
When you have Denny, who has a podcast, who's the most well-known driver and eyes on him in the world right now, driving for Michael fucking Jordan Association, you think you'd listen to that guy?
Right.
I agree.
No, and it just goes right. And like we all see that they're not. If you can't listen to that guy, if you're not listening to those people, what are we doing chirping on, bitching on our podcast? What is it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the irritating part is I feel like they're just laughing at us. Ha ha. Whatever we put out there, they're going to buy it.
Counting
they're
the
going to
money.
buy it. And it's like,
Counting
and then
the money.
here's us going along with it. As much as we bitch and we hate about it, we're saying, oh, we got to change our expectations. Oh, consume it differently. Why are we coming up with all of these ways to consume it differently to make the racing better? We're doing it ourselves, the way we watch it to make the racing better, while they sit on their fucking hands and do nothing to make the racing better for us consumers. Fuck that. I'm tired of changing my ways for them. They need to start changing their fucking ways for us.
Absolutely. And I know we sound like a bunch of Karens.
I agree. 100%.
I couldn't agree more too. I know we sound like a bunch of Karens, but this is on a different scale than that because it's our fucking livelihood. Like we Eric and I, grew up watching this shit. Like we love it with the passion. Whitey, you got into it and you love it with a passion. We love it enough where we take time out of our own lives every week to do this, and not to bitch about that because we absolutely love doing this podcast and we'll continue to do this podcast.
Don't forget, $1,200 in the hole.
Hats. We buy hats, we buy shirts, we buy die casts, we buy books, we buy other die casts, we buy magazines. You guys have stuff. You guys have how many endless shirts? We go to the races, multiple races a year. Like we spend our hard-earned money on this sport, and
I have NASCAR Talladega win T-shirts from the Xfinity series waiting for the podcast day that I could wear it on a Monday when my driver wins at the same track again. Like
I have to actively dig through my laundry or my T-shirt drawer to find normal, not a NASCAR shirt.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like we spend our hard-earned money on this sport, and not just us three, obviously, but millions of people out there who consider this their favorite.
We're the fucking idiots.
And we're the idiots because they're the ones taking our money and doing whatever they want with the sport anyway.
All right, let's jump into the checkers and wreckers.
3 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's checkers and wreckers.
Just a half-hearted rocking out on YouTube for that one. Feeling deflated after Talladega. Eric, well, you gave your wreckers right there. So let's go with your checkers. What did you like? Do you have a checkers?
It was, as far as racing, no. I'll give a performance that I did appreciate and thought was spectacular I know it's kind of like our second driver here. And, we all root for him. And I thought for, the first time you're going up there and dealing with the big boys in that 16 car, SVG, man.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit. Like that guy, for what he's done, not just on Sunday at Talladega, up to this point, every race that he's gotten in, whether it was Xfinity, whether it was, in the Cup, and I know he won the street course, but he just outperforms my expectations for him every time he gets in a car. And to go out there and to run up front, and no one really was working with him either. And I get it. I understand that they don't want to be behind him up front and push him too crazy, but They did. They allowed him to run up front, and they did let him, feel what it's like to be up front at Talladega and to get pushed up through the field and to lead there. And, he led multiple times where he got shuffled out, and then he came back up through the field. So, he wasn't afraid, after up there and hanging in the back. He gives it his all. So I think this experiment that he's trying out here and everyone talking about it, I think this could be a super success as far as Marcus Ambrose level, where I could see some more than just that one win SVG has. I could see him winning maybe a few other races while he's doing this experiment coming over into the NASCAR world. It's just very impressive from his lack of doing this type of racing.
Oh, yeah.
And the results and the performance that he puts out there.
Well, no shit, he's not scared. When you grow up in Australia or New Zealand and you dodge all the animals that are over there trying to kill you on a daily basis, coming over here, it's nothing. It's a breeze, baby. I'll get in a pack of 32 cars and drive fast.
Yeah, I have to give him props too. I noticed near the end when that third line was developing, he jumped right to the front of it. He wasn't scared or anything. And I was wondering, because I haven't really been paying attention to the Xfinity Series too well this year, but he's sitting 14th in points. He's ahead of Sam Mayer, who just won a race last week. So doing really well, SVG is.
And a lot of road courses on that schedule for Xfinity too. So watch out for him.
Yeah, it's fun watching an outsider come and doing what he's doing so quickly too. How about you, Matt? What's your checkers and wreckers?
My checkers goes to what are the two things that this sport is based on?
Momentum and
nope. I'm thinking of a different. Okay, we're not going to the right direction.
Moonshining,
no,
and
I was gonna say,
running from the law.
Family. It's a family sport. I feel like Dom Toretto for All About Family.
All About Family.
That was the worst Dom Toretto. I'm sorry for even trying to do a Dom Toretto impression there. But family and drinking beer and MJ during his celebration knocked off both of those categories. So a real wholesome moment for and Whitey, Tyler Reddick's son's name?
Bo Reddick.
Oh, Bo Reddick. He held Bo Reddick up and I just thought that's such a moment right there because that kid – even if he's too young to appreciate it now, he has it on video. He's going to be able to cherish that for the rest of his life. Having one of the best athletes ever to play a sport in the world, holding him and celebrating and all happy and everything.
Not only that, I was thinking if that kid hasn't seen Space Jam yet, his parents can blow his fucking mind.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another good point.
I'll tell you what, how he has the watermelon, you smash the watermelon.
Yeah.
But when MJ's there, they should set up a basketball hoop and MJ should lift Reddick up to dunk the basketball.
Yeah. Not even his kid. Tyler Reddick. Lift him up.
Reddick. Little Tyler.
Yeah.
Little Tyler.
Yeah. He has to lift Tyler Reddick up for the basketball.
I love it.
An 8-foot rim too.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool. And just whole MJ's he finally gave a couple interviews to NASCAR media, live on air, which is
rare.
huge. If you're flipping through the channels or you're just a casual fan tuning in for Talladega, you see MJ and he's talking about how he's so bought in and he's all in on NASCAR. That could do wonders for the sport of NASCAR as far as fandom goes. And then there was a clip of him walking back to his bus or his car or whatever, and he's talking to whoever the guy was, and he's like,
"That's his money, man.
Messed up on the plane. I hope you're ready to get messed up on the plane.
Yeah.
We're gonna celebrate." And I was just thinking, that is the embodiment of NASCAR. Your guy just won, whether you're the owner, the driver, part of the team, or just a fan, and you want to go and celebrate, baby. And I just thought all of that combined. MJ gets my checkers this week.
I like it. I like it a lot. And to the point about just the interviews alone, apparently he doesn't like to give press interviews at all. So the fact that we got as much screen time of MJ as we did, you're absolutely right. It's huge for the sport. It's huge for the fans. I know you've been sour on him lately, but Pistol Pete Pistone out in Chicago,
I saw that.
He's been getting hit up all day long for interviews about Michael Jordan and the Chicago connection in NASCAR and all that. So definitely a big day for the sport.
Yeah, he said it hit so many major sports media, it's
It's like Daytona
it's
500
done more
level.
for the sport of NASCAR than anything else up to this point. That's done more as far as getting it talked about on these channels and everything. With
that's real cool for Pistol Pete. Did he get offended by anything too? Was he offended or personally taken back by anything that they said too?
I'm not sure about that.
Sorry, not trying to start any wars, or maybe I am. I don't care. Fuck him.
Anyways, what's your wreckers?
Pistol Pete, fucking joke. My wreckers goes to me, because just a couple weeks ago, I sat here and I said to everybody, if you don't like Richmond, if you don't like Martinsville, you got to tamper your expectations. Go into it with a different lens of just a different expectation, because we know already what this car is going to give us at those tracks. And here we are. Super Speedway comes along. I get my expectations way up here because that's, it's my love, my soul, my pride is Super Speedway racing. And I got my heart crushed yesterday, and I didn't take my own advice by just changing my expectations, changing what to expect when we come to these super speedways, and I allowed myself to get upset by that race yesterday. So
you know what? I don't think you should be upset with yourself. I'm with Erik on this one, where and here's the thing. I'm right in the middle where I agree, like, for certain things, like, we know, like, all right, road course is not that good. Short track's not that good. Let's tamper our expectations and know, like, yeah, we're not going to see the best racing, right? Super Speedway racing is NASCAR. Like, if that product is bad, then it's all bad. Like, I'm not changing my expectations for Super Speedways.
Too. Go faster than the guy next to you, and, like, you're going half throttle because you're worried about the guy having more fuel than you, not being faster than you. Like, at other racetracks, like I said, I get that. Mile and a half, I get that. That's part of the strategy. Like, that's all part of it. But, like, at Super Speedway racing, you should never be hearing, wait, I don't want to go faster than this guy. I want to save fuel. Not at a Super Speedway. I'm sorry.
Road course, you want to pit a couple laps early so you save some fuel? Absolutely. Give me strategy at road courses. Hell, give me strategy at a short track like Richmond. I enjoyed that,
Just give me pure speed.
Give me strategy at Phoenix. Give me strategy at some of the different mile and a halves. I don't want strategy at a Super Speedway race. Unless it's like, oh, we're pitting with our teammates. That way we don't lose the draft. That's the only strategy I want. That is it. That's it.
I agree. It was kind of to the point where you and I don't know if it was said on the broadcast or if it was something that I brought up. Even I remember talking about it. I think it was you, Whitey, maybe brought it up too. If literally two cars bopped out of line, two teammates that didn't win, let's say, and just went balls to the walls, they could have lapped the field yesterday if they wanted to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that to me is insane, knowing that, like,
they're running 5 seconds slower off the pace.
But to me, the craziest part about it is, like, the hive mentality that it became in the garage area.
Where it's like, we have to do this.
Now, we have to do. Why? Why does everyone have to do that now? Why did everyone have to? No, why couldn't 10 spotters and 10 guys over here be like, hey, I don't like the way they're racing. Neither do I. I want to go. Because damn right. I've been saying this since I was a freaking back talking about Kenseth. He always wanted to go in those races at Super Speedway. He always jumped out of line to make the third line go with me. He hated riding in line. And there were other people that also hated riding in line. And if all those drivers could say, hey, let's pop together, the 8 of us, the 10 of us, whatever it is, let's do our own race. Let's leave these fuel guys go and let's run the race that we want to run here. And that's essentially what the Toyotas did. And they blew it. But, like, to me, that is not what I want to see at Talladega or at Daytona. I mean, if everyone's doing that and you have packs of maybe 10 and now you have this pack catching this pack and running this pack, but you didn't even have that. It was like, I don't even know what that was. I'm trying to, in my head, what would I have liked? What could have happened? Like, I'm at a loss for what even that was, you know?
The problem is you can't go anymore because you jump out of line and you fall like a rock. You know, like you can't get those big runs going, and it's
right. But if you get a group of 6 people,
and that's what the Toyotas were trying to do. The Toyotas were like, all right, now it's go time. We're sick of riding around. We can make it on fuel if we pit right now. Let's fucking go and let's pressure these guys. And unfortunately, just didn't work out for all of them, you know. But I don't know. I don't know. I got no solution right now.
I did have a question for you though, Whitey.
What's up?
Now that like you're in the sport and it kind of you've had the taste.
Yeah.
I want your perspective as a fan at this point. Like when your driver wins, has the juice wore off yet?
So last season, the Coda win, I wasn't as excited as I had been the season before when he was first getting his first couple wins.
Yeah.
And I chalked that up to, all right, well, now like the first one's out of the way. The first one was it was a big one, you know, like, oh, and yesterday, and then Kansas last year, that fucking move that he did 3 wide and kind of passed him on the I was like, yeah, let's fucking go. Yeah. Like that's where I'm at. Yesterday, as I was watching it, I was excited because Reddick was up front and he's battling McDowell, but at the same time, I'm getting frustrated because I'm watching him get to about the nose of his car lining up with the bumper and he can't complete the pass. And all I'm watching all day long is like, all right, he gets out and then the accordion stretches out and the accordion stretches back in and stretches out and stretches back in. And they're doing this the whole time. And so I wasn't getting excited because I'm like, all right, he can't fucking make the move. I'm like, all right. And then he got shuffled out of the lead on the last lap there. I go, all right, well, we're kind of done for. You know, Michael McDowell probably deserves this win or Brad Keselowski's going to get it. So now I'm kind of getting excited for Brad Keselowski where I'm like,
that's what I was rooting too. Yeah.
Where I'm like, let's get a good finish with Brad. Let's get that win for Brad. And then all of a sudden I see him go across the nose. And I literally jumped out of this chair and I start going, let's go, Tyler. Put your fucking foot to the ground. Let's fucking go. And I'm going and I'm freaking out. And the dog's in the hallway freaking out too. So the excitement was definitely there. Just the excitement's not there throughout the whole entire race where I'm like, come on, get up front. It's more like, oh, finally he's up front. He's doing something, you know, and I'm watching everything else. I'm watching the race as a whole instead of just my driver too, you know? But what's
Erik,
up, Matt?
I think me and you can kind of touch on this what I'm about to say here is like, yeah, you're right. Like now you've got your wins. Like now, like, of course you're always going to be excited when they win, you know, it's your driver wins, but it's an expectation at this point. You know, I know I'm going to see my driver win a couple races this year. So it's, you know, we'll still celebrate. We'll still be excited. You're going to match your excitement of that first time win, probably 2 other occasions. One, if he ever wins the championship, which we all expect Tyler Reddick to probably win a championship at some point.
Yeah.
But the most exciting, which is it's even better than seeing your guy win for the first time, seeing him win in person.
Yeah. Oh man,
Erik, it's unbelievable. I can't. He may as well have won the championship. And then if you see him get to win, Erik got to see Kenseth win at Pocono. I got to see Junior win at Pocono.
Yeah.
If you get to see Reddick win at your home track, dude, it's gonna surpass the feeling. It's awesome,
dude. And you know what? He runs pretty decent at Pocono too, in RCR equipment and 2311 equipment. So like, I have a feeling like one day it might happen, you know.
Sure.
But before going to Daytona, before going to Dover, before going to Pocono, and before going to Watkins Glen, all the races I've been to the last couple of years, I always like the week I lead up to, I'm like, man, I'm just visualizing like being in the grandstands and turning around and going, fuck yeah, you know, like just trying to put it out into the universe, you know what I mean? So
then what do you get? You get your buddy who's there and filming it right on when he gets spun by Priest.
No, Briscoe by Briscoe.
Oh my
Briscoe,
God, Chase Briscoe. Oh, wait, no. that still haunts the back of the head too. Just not only that, thinking about the ball busting you guys gave me at Pocono earlier the year before, where it's you running through the grass.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, here at the Bubble Run podcast, we normally don't talk about the winner, so I figured let's give a little segment here to our winner and a resident Reddick fan here.
Now the excitement's definitely still there. It was a little less last year, because last year I was like, where are the wins? Now I'm getting mad that the wins aren't coming. You know, this year I'm like, let's just take the year as it is. You know, but yeah, I thought I got excited. I got real excited.
You should.
Still didn't save it for me. Still gave it a C-. Probably should have been a D2, to be honest with you. Let's see. Matt, did you give your record? Yeah, you gave your records and your checkers. I'm going to give my checkers to one Michael McDowell. So while watching on the broadcast, it seemed like the team knew he was not going to make it on gas. So they had him just running out as hard as he could. But then they came back and said, well, he's really not running full throttle, but he was running enough to keep a good gap. And I think that helped kind of push the issue with the Toyotas, where they're like, all right, let's go and make something happen. And he kind of saved the race, because up until that third stage, when he was really kind of going, I was snoozing. I haven't been on my phone this much this season as I was yesterday during the race. And that's one thing I wanted to bring up too. A lot of NASCAR journalists online, the Jeff Glucks of the world and whatnot, which I respect all of them, I do. But yesterday they were all saying like, well, would you rather a single line train? Which, of course, we've always seen a single line train at Talladega and Daytona, especially in the middle of the race, where it gets that lull. And I could see the point where it's like, well, now you get 3-wide racing, but we talked about nothing's happening in that 3-wide racing. So really, it's just three.
It's just 3 single lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when they go to pit together, they're going to go single file so that they can all hook up.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to leave the 3-wide anyway to make their way down so that they can pit. Yeah.
So
the only thing that comes with 3-wide is, holy shit, I hope somebody doesn't make a mistake right now. That's the only thing that comes with 3-wide. You're not seeing crazy, like Erik said. You're not seeing the shuffling around through the lines.
And again, it was because you were able to make those moves that you would see that chaos. Now you can't make those moves. It's like, why even try to? And so you don't. And so the way I see it is, I would rather see that big long line, because now it's like, okay, now we're getting to the part of the race where it's the lull. You know, you can kind of sit back, relax, wait a little bit, and then it builds the anticipation where it's like, all right, well, like Erik just said not too long ago, Kenseth, like you see him like bounce out of line a little bit, testing the waters. Jones does it too all the time. Where you come out, you see if anyone comes with you. Maybe they don't. Then you fall back. You're like, oh, fuck, I wasted that opportunity. We'll see if we can make it. But that creates that anticipation where it's like, all right, well, is someone going to jump out with him? And then finally you start seeing it happen. You see 1, 2, 3, 4 guys. And then you see that second line build up again. And it gets that momentum. That's the stuff during the race that builds that anticipation. That's what makes it exciting. If you're running 3-wide side by side, lap after lap, yeah, it looks impressive, but it's not building that excitement.
Right.
You know, it's not edge of your seat like, oh man, like Corey LaJoie's jocking and jiving in the back, making weird moves like, oh, what's he doing? Is he going to wreck the field? You know, like shit like that. Now we're just seeing accordions just in and out. It's like a Weird Al Yankovic concert. So I just wanted to hit that point. But at a certain point in that third stage, it finally built the anticipation. I'm like, all right, now the action's going to happen. Now I'm sitting up. Now I'm watching, and I thank Michael McDowell for that, because he's the one I saw kind of happening around it. And then my wreckers, and I think this is another reason for the race grade in general, was the commercials. I know that's how the TV partners pay the bills, like especially Fox over the air free, like advertising is the most important, you know? But I honestly think the amount of commercials just added to the poor perception of the race, because you couldn't get into a rhythm either, where it's like every 6 laps, we went to a full screen commercial. And I looked at some of the numbers too, because if you go to jski.com, they put out a commercial breakdown every week after the race. And I didn't want to compare it to Texas because Texas was a shorter race in length. So the broadcast window was smaller. So I went back to Martinsville, where they were both similar, about 3.5 hours of broadcast time, right? And we saw 20 minutes more worth of commercials in yesterday's race than we saw at a similarly timed event at Martinsville. We only had 5 minutes of extra on-track time shown versus that Martinsville race. So for an extra 5
minutes is a lot extra time,
right?
there.
So for an extra 5 minutes of on-track time for this race compared to Martinsville, we saw 20 minutes of full screen commercials. I'm not even counting the side-by-side. I was being generous. And I just feel like there was a commercial every 5 laps. And
there were some big dog reporters too that were kind of noticing that as well.
Yeah.
That I respect too, where it's like, okay, like this isn't just some Dave Moody callers,
No.
calling it, being like, God, the commercial every time I went in there and all I saw was the ad for this and that. Didn't see no racing.
And
it wasn't those people. It was noticeable to the general fan, and I noticed it as well. I didn't want to bring it up. I'm glad that you did, Whitey.
Yeah.
But it was definitely noticeable and race ruining, because the broadcast couldn't keep a flow either. I felt like they kept getting cut off by having to go to a commercial mid trying to get a point across.
Yeah, no, it was frustrating where I'm like, great, another fucking commercial. And like,
right.
And at the same time though, it's a double-edged sword, because that just shows the health of the sport, where advertisers want to spend money. So it is good that we have a lot of commercials. It's just not good when you put a commercial full screen with 6 laps to go on the stage, and then you come back with 3 laps. Yeah.
Did you hear Joy? Oh, it's starting to heat up here at the end of stage at Talladega, and we're going to commercial.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, what? Like,
Right.
he literally just said things are heating up here at Talladega.
Not
showing
even
a battle, and then you go immediately to commercial when there's 6 laps to go.
Not
There
even
was
a
6 or 7 laps
side-by-side.
left, because it was going to be my Wreckers was like that. We went to commercial with like 6 or 7 laps left, and Mike Joy had just said, "Oh, things are starting to heat up."
Yeah.
Oh, here's a Prilosec commercial. Or whatever the fuck was on.
I'm like, Mike, you could have wrote that any better. He literally said things are heating up here at Talladega. 5 to go, and they go to a commercial. I'm like, at least make it a Long John Silver's commercial. You sons of bitches.
Things are heating up
Stupid
here.
sons of bitches.
Things are heating up here at Talladega. Are you suffering from Peyronie's disease?
Oh, broken banana. Dude,
Christ.
it was rough. And like, it wasn't even a side-by-side commercial either. And you know what? They came back with 3 to go. That means, because at that point they were running like 53-second laps, that was almost 3 minutes of commercials right there. Like, I don't know. It was rough. So that's my...
Can I just say something real quick before we jump out of the checkers and wreckers?
Yeah.
I, selfishly, I'm saying this, should have been your checkers.
Matt?
Because I know you're going to Dover this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the first year in 2 years that I am not going to Dover.
And it looks like a sunny...
77, like a 5% chance of rain. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful weekend of racing. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
And also, I apologize for like the monsoon that's going to hit Pocono this year. My bad.
Oh man. Well,
sorry.
You want to know what we got?
Enjoy Pocono or enjoy Dover, man.
Don't worry about it, because we got some heavy rain last year, and you weren't there either. Pocono's it's gonna rain at Pocono no matter what.
Oh, no matter what.
Unless we're in a heat wave like it was the year before that.
Oh,
which was
the last time I was up there was 2 years ago.
I'll take rain over a heat wave any day up there.
Yeah,
that heat wave was rough. But anyways, yes, looking forward to Dover. I don't really have much to go over with the rest of the race, unless you guys have anything else to note. Brad Keselowski got a second place. Was really, when it seemed like Reddick got shuffled out, I was really hoping Brad would win. Let's see. Martin Truex Jr. led a couple laps. I was surprised to see him up front. Usually Usually he doesn't
He was up there most of the race. Like he got shuffled back a little bit in the middle, but like he was up there, I want to say the whole first stage and pretty much the whole third stage, especially after the whole Toyota incident happened. He was in position right behind Reddick.
I was just about to give John Hunter Nemechek props for leading 20 laps, but you want to know what? I'm going back.
He caused that whole wreck, too.
No, even worse. I'm going to go back because I was going to say like, oh, he was running well before that wreck. I go, you want to know what? I'm going back. I'm giving him the true wreckers, not even for wrecking anybody, but for his comments that I saw on Twitter where fans were like kind of like shitting on him for wrecking his own teammate and stuff. And he just wrote ha after. And then someone else is like, you sent your teammate to the hospital. And he's like, whatever. And I'm like, no, that's fucked. Like that. We sang that guy's praises for years going down to the lower series.
I never did.
Well, no, just going down to the lower series, like praising him for like, going back, trying to.
I have not liked what I've seen out of John Hunter.
No, that was
for years now.
Yeah, just seeing those comments, man, that was rough. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So he gets my second records for that one. But other than that, I got nothing else to talk about. You guys want to jump into the next race weekend?
We're going to one of the most exciting tracks that this car has given us.
Oh, shit. You want to know what? I forgot. Here on the Bummer Run Podcast, every week people love to talk about the winner, Tyler Reddick, on a Monday. But here we talk about the guy who came in last. And unfortunately, it was one of our favorites, one Christopher Bell. His day ended in a weird stack up on the top lane that ended up turning Chase Elliott into the back of him. Elliott was able to finish, but in fact, Chase Elliott got himself a 15th place finish. But Christopher Bell had his day ended before all the other Toyotas that had the accidents. The only people that didn't finish the race, it was Toyotas. And then Michael McDowell finished a lap down because he got wrecked before the finish line, so he technically didn't finish the race. But yeah, all Toyotas. But bad day for Christopher Bell. Hoping for a bounce back at Dover. We'll see what happens. And speaking of Dover, that's exactly where we're headed.
Marty, you gotta come back with me. Where?
The next NASCAR Cup race. It's the weekend preview.
And we have an ARCA race, I believe, on Friday. I don't know what time. Xfinity on track Saturday, 1:30 on FS1 for the Bet Rivers 200. And then Cup on track Sunday, 2 p.m. on FS1 for the Würth 500. And if you guys look at the rundown I sent you, I got the little umlaut over the U. I Googled how to make that happen. It's an alt in 4 different numbers. I forget what they are today, but I was real proud of myself on that one. But let's see.
I, in good conscience, cannot back that company.
What? I don't even know what Würth is. Are they a competitor?
Competitor over in Europe.
Okay. You want to what? Well, you work for an American employer, Fastenal. Fastenal is, well, you want to know what? It's funny. I was just about to say, I think Würth sponsors Brad Keselowski, but that's when he was over in the 2 car with Penske. Yeah. Hey, Penske, go fuck yourself. We're on we're an RFK podcast over that's here, right, and we do our supply chain needs at Fastenal. You need right. PPE machines and vending. You call a Statman Matt. Give him your business card, Matt.
At your service.
But let's see, to go over the bets, you boys at Talladega, it was a rough one because to recap, Eric, you picked Bubba Wallace, which was looking like a pretty good pick, especially with that strategy. It's like, man, all the Toyotas coming off the line together. He was third in line, looking good for EJ, looking good for Reddick, looking good for Hamlin. Unfortunately, Matt, you picked Hamlin. They both got you 1 point each. I picked Ryan Blaney, who I don't think I saw Blaney all day long. Where'd he finish?
No, they kept calling Cindric Blaney all day.
Hey, they did.
Yeah, because the color.
The color.
Yeah.
Well, you want to?
I think it was Chase Elliott was behind the 2, and he's like, who am I behind right now? He had like come up. They talked about on the broadcast. He's like, who am I behind? I need to know, is this Blaney or is this Cindric?
He's like, I trust Blaney. I don't trust Cindric. One of those deals.
I'm pretty sure that's why he was asking.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you know how much you could bump each other. Yeah.
You know what was confusing too was Blaney was in a dark blue car that usually, what's his name? Usually it's like a Harrison Burton 21 car, or maybe it's a Cindric car. I forget. Like that.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I didn't see the 12 car once on Sunday watching the race.
He's usually a favorite to win it.
My eyes did not see his car. Well, I can't tell you his paint. I have no idea what his car looked like.
Let's see. Where did he finish? He finished. Where is the 12?
Probably top 10. No matter where he is, he finishes top 10.
I don't even.
Unless he got caught up in that last wreck.
Let's see.
Yeah, that last one did swallow some people up, I think.
I'll tell you right now. I got it right here.
I'm looking for him, and I don't see him in the. Where the what the fuck?
Is it the Mandela effect? Blaney is no longer.
He finished 20th.
Yeah, he is 20th. Yeah, him and Logano finished 19th. Those two are really good. Well, dude, it goes to show you exactly what we were talking about earlier in this podcast.
Took the old skill
those
out
two
of it.
are some of the favorites to win at super speedways, and they finished.
Right, when you can't go all out and go up front and lead like McDowell was, and like McDowell was screwed because he was doing it the old school way, jumping back and forth from lane to lane to lane. But the lanes behind him knew McDowell was screwed because up front he's burning fuel like a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So it's like you couldn't even do that and manage that. Like you said it, like Logano, awesome when he's up front like that, pulling the line, and it's you took that away from these people, and they finished 19th and 20th. People that should be up front or willing to jump out and pull a new lane up from the bottom or the top. Like, it just, the whole racing, this car changed. I said it. The racing is now completely different. At any track we go to, this car has changed the way that it races.
It was so weird to watch guys try to get out of the lead so they stopped burning fuel. Like when you're at a super speedway, you want to be up front so you avoid any of the wrecks and stuff.
Right, but you didn't want to bop out of line because you were totally screwed then.
Yeah.
At least before you could bop out of line, find another little place to get in. You cannot find any little place to get in now.
No.
Because everybody knows that if you lose a little bit, you're not getting back there.
Mm-mm.
And it just I don't know.
It's weird too watching the middle line always, like, so that third line develops. Usually the middle line would become like a sucker hole and it'd like pull guys back, but that one was the one that was moving the most. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, I picked Ryan Blaney. He got me 24 points. You guys each got 1 point each. So let's go with the scores from the week prior, where
I'm dead last.
Where Eric picked Buescher. So you get to pick first again. Matt, you pick second, and then I'll pick last for Dover. Who do you have to win Dover, Eric?
All right. I have a feeling hot, slick. This has all eyes ahead to be a complete and utter ass whooping by that number 5 over there in the Hendrick Motorsports camp.
Yeah. All right. How about you, Matt?
Left the door open for me, brother. What do I have here? My newfound love, or my old found love that I just confessed. This is the die cast of the race win, the number 19 at Dover Motor Speedway.
You know what's bullshit, Matt?
I witnessed this win in person. It's one of his 45 home tracks. It's not going to be his case this week. I'm going with Ross Chastain.
Oh, okay. You want to know what Ross runs really well at Dover? Pisses a lot of people off too, though.
Is gonna rip one off in Dover.
You know what I was about to say to you, Matt? I feel like you've seen your drivers win more than anybody I know, and like
it's the sports gods giving me back for years of New York Jets
being Jets fans. Yeah. That makes sense. Where it's like we can't give you a Super Bowl or anything like that.
The universe balances itself out.
It does, because last year you saw Martin Truex Jr. win, which we knew you were excited about anyways. The year before that, while you were still loving on Chase, you saw him win that race too. You saw Junior win a Daytona 500.
Yep.
Yeah, like, oh man, Eric, how many times you see Kenseth win?
Once, Pocono.
Yeah.
And that's a great story. He was packing up the truck and Kenseth, was it a fuel mileage thing?
Yeah, he was in fourth, and there was like 3 laps to go, and I'm like, oh, son of a bitch, bring it. And then like all of a sudden, I say, wait a minute, Denny Hamlin runs out of fuel, and then Kyle Busch took the lead.
Eric,
Kenseth run out of fuel. Kenseth keeps going again. I'm like, Kenseth was a full lap behind, and Kyle Busch runs out of fuel. Now I'm on top of the truck going, he better not run out of fuel. And he's going. He made it all the way around, but like
Eric's
3 cars ahead of him ran out of fuel.
Because it came out of nowhere. It was awesome. That was
he was never supposed to win, and all of a sudden it turned into a fuel thing. And it was like, these people are running out, and everyone started scrambling like, oh my god, these guys are running out of fuel. Holy shit!
Yeah. Oh man, that's amazing. That's the greatness of Pocono right there.
Yeah.
Look at the Bowman. I mean, Justin Pierce got to do the same thing when Bowman beat.
I was losing my mind in the stands during that race too, because that was such a good battle between Larson and Bowman, right? Where Bowman was holding him off, Larson was giving him everything he could. Finally passes him, used up his tires just a little too much.
Pocono puts on some good races, man. People are sleeping on Pocono, man.
They have, and you want to know what? It's a great infield, great camping experience. Definitely come up to the Poconos.
Second best infield on the circuit. Has to be right behind Talladega.
And I hear Watkins Glen is fantastic too. For partying and camping. Let's see, Dover. Who do I want? You want to wait? Oh man, it's between Chevys and Toyotas, and since you both picked Chevys, I'm gonna go with a Toyota. He's been hot at all the short tracks so far. I know Dover's really not a short track, but I'm going with James Dennis Hamlin. I feel like he's been real hot.
You're gonna be there. You're going to be there.
He's
so actually, I wish I thought about that. You're going to be there. So of course Denny's going to win.
Man, if Denny Hamlin was my driver, I saw him win like 7 times already live. But yeah, I'm feeling confident about Denny, especially now that I am going. So we're 10 races into the 2024 season. Your playoff picture: William Byron with 3 wins, Daniel Suarez, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell with 1 win, Denny Hamlin with 2, Chase Elliott with 1, and Tyler Reddick adding himself to the list. Will Kyle Larson get his 2nd win of the season? Will Ross Chastain get his 1st win of the season? Those Trackhouse boys been quiet. Or will Denny Hamlin get his 3rd? We'll find out this Sunday, 2 p.m. on FS1 for the Not Fast and All 400, and we'll break it all down for you probably Monday night, maybe Tuesday, depending on if the skies do stay clear or it gets pushed off to Monday, because I will be going back if it gets pushed to Monday. But
we're good, dude. I'm gonna say it right now. We're getting a Sunday race at Dover for the first time in a couple years.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's gonna be a great day. I can't wait, and I'll talk to you guys for Matt the Statman Reilly, for Erik Daytona Ron. I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night. The Bump and Run. There it is.